Okay, let's unpack this. It sounds almost like fiction, doesn't it? A prison governor, supposedly a model one, getting tangled up with a major crime boss.
It really does. But it's completely real. We're diving into the, well, astonishing story of Kerri Pegg and Anthony Saunderson.
Right. And our mission here basically is to figure out how this whole strange connection was uncovered.
And, what happened to them both afterwards? What were the consequences?
We've got reports here from The Mirror, BBC News, Manchester Evening News. Quite a few sources.
Yeah, so we'll be pulling out the key details, trying to piece together the clearest picture we can from what they reported.
It's a truly compelling case. These two people
Yeah,
just seem like they're from completely different planets.
exactly. Opposite worlds, you could say. And their paths crossing had these massive repercussions.
We're kind of like detectives here, aren't we? Putting the story together from these news clippings.
That's a good way to put it.
Yeah.
So should we start with Kerri Pegg?
Yeah, let's do that. The Mirror called her petite, blonde, and bubbly, and all the reports agree she was seen as a rising star.
Definitely. Joined the prison service back in 2012.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
And climbed the ranks really fast. Became governor at HMP Kirkham by, April 2018?
That's it. And she wasn't exactly new to the whole system either. She'd done 8 years before that in the probation service.
The Mirror also mentioned a failed marriage in her past. Just a detail, but maybe relevant context.
Perhaps. Now, contrast that with Anthony Saunderson.
Right. The other side of the coin, he was doing 10 years.
A hefty 10-year sentence, yeah. For serious drug stuff, conspiracy to produce and supply, plus importing cocaine worth, I think it was $19 million.
Wow, 19 million. And before he was convicted in late 2014, the Mirror said he was actually one of Merseyside's most wanted fugitives.
So you have this person, Pegg, climbing the ladder inside the justice system.
And Saunderson, who's firmly on the outside, suddenly on the inside, in her prison.
And that's where things start getting odd. The Manchester Evening News reported concerns started cropping up.
About them spending time together.
A lot of time. In her office, door closed, at HMP Kirkham.
Yeah, that definitely rings alarm bells. You wouldn't expect that.
No. And Pegg's explanation for it. According to The Mirror, she put it down to cultural issues at the jail.
Cultural issues. What does that even mean in this context?
It's vague, isn't it?
Yeah.
She also apparently called her style progressive, talked about an open-door policy.
Trying to frame it as normal, maybe? Or even good practice?
It seems like it.
Mm-hmm.
She claimed this approach led to clashes with her bosses, almost like she was trying to preempt criticism.
But it wasn't just closed-door meetings, was it? BBC News mentioned something more concrete.
Oh, yeah. She tried to sign off on Saunderson's request for temporary release, day release.
But she couldn't actually do that, didn't have the power.
Exactly. No authority. And she apparently tried to sidestep the proper procedures to do it.
Okay, that's a massive overstep, a huge breach.
Absolutely. And that kind of thing. Well, it would definitely make people look much, much closer at what she was doing.
Which leads us to the raid, right? Police raiding her home in Wigan.
Yep. All the sources mention this raid. It was based on intelligence, suggesting the police had solid grounds for suspicion by then.
And what they found, I mean, it really tells a story.
It does. So there was a burner phone, a bit suspicious on its own maybe.
And a toothbrush. Okay.
But then, the kicker. A pair of men's Hugo Boss flip-flops, size 10.
Flip-flops. And both The Mirror and BBC News specifically say Saunderson's DNA was found on that toothbrush.
And the flip-flops.
Yes.
It's almost funny, but it's such a concrete link.
It really is. It's often these small, everyday things that end up being the crucial evidence.
That's true. It really highlights how important the details are in these investigations. Those flip-flops became a huge indicator.
And there was more, wasn't there? The car.
Ah, yes, the Mercedes. A C-Class, worth about £12,000, parked outside her house.
Which, according to BBC News and The Mirror, Saunderson had bought for her.
Correct. And the money was traced back to drug proceeds, specifically from 34 kilos of amphetamines he was involved with.
34 kilos. And the Manchester Evening News added the car was seized way back in November 2019.
That's right, which tells you the investigation was likely going on for a good while before the raid even happened.
So this financial angle, the car, living beyond her means, it points towards something more than just, bad judgment.
It certainly suggests a vulnerability, or perhaps a motive. That stark difference between her salary and her lifestyle is a classic red flag in corruption cases.
So, okay, the trial happens. Despite all this evidence, the flip-flops, the car, the DNA.
Pegg denied it. The Mirror reported she was tearful, insisted there was no relationship.
And her defense team? What was their angle? All the sources seem to cover this.
They basically portrayed her as green and stupid, naive and gullible, easily manipulated by a seasoned criminal like Saunderson.
She even admitted being incredibly stupid, apparently, but still denied any actual crime.
Yes, that was the line. Stupid, perhaps, but not criminal.
But, I mean, naive. After 8 years in probation, rising to governor, does that really fly? Wouldn't she know the boundaries?
That's the big question, isn't it? It feels like a difficult argument to sustain given her professional background. It's a common defense tactic, though, claiming manipulation.
And the prosecution obviously didn't buy it.
Not at all. They hammered home the amount of time she spent with him, not just inside prison.
But after he got out, too, the Mirror mentioned that.
Exactly. After his release in 2019, they kept up contact. That pattern of sustained interaction really undermines the whole fleeting moment of stupidity idea.
And this brings us back to the money stuff. The BBC and Mirror detailed how she was living.
Way beyond her means. Designer items, Jimmy Choo shoes, Chanel necklaces.
While being deep in debt, maxed out credit cards.
Yep. And county court judgments she hadn't declared. Her salary was around £3,000 a month. It just didn't compute.
So the prosecution's argument was that this financial mess made her vulnerable, a target.
Precisely. Vulnerable to corruption, susceptible to influence from someone like Saunderson who had access to dirty money. It paints a picture beyond just being gullible.
It does. Now, something else is just incredible. Saunderson's activities while he was locked up.
Oh, the BADD program, yeah.
He developed and delivered a program called Beating Alcohol and Drug Dependency.
That's what BBC News reported. The irony is just staggering. Here's a major drug dealer running an amphetamines factory on the side.
And inside, he's running an anti-drug program.
It's audacious, isn't it? Shows a certain level of, well, maybe arrogance. Like he thought he could operate completely under the radar, even manipulate the system itself.
And he didn't exactly clean up his act after getting out, did he?
Not a bit. The Manchester Evening News revealed he went right back to it, became the boss of a drug gang.
Using the EncroChat phone network?
Yeah, the encrypted one. And his aliases. Jesse Pinkman.
From Breaking Bad. Seriously.
Seriously. And also James Gandolfini, Tony Soprano's actor.
Wow. So he's really leaning into the whole crime boss persona.
Deeply entrenched in it, seems like.
Yeah.
But EncroChat was his undoing in many ways.
Right, because law enforcement managed to crack it. All the reports mention this.
They did. Hack the network. And that exposed his communications with his gang.
Which then also exposed his dealings with Pegg.
Inadvertently, yes. The BBC even mentioned that his own gang members were commenting on it.
His own crew noticed he was spending too much time with Pegg.
Apparently so. Which suggests their relationship, or whatever it was, wasn't exactly subtle. It must have been pretty obvious.
That detail really says a lot, if even the criminals are noticing.
It speaks volumes. And the end result for Saunderson, as the Manchester Evening News reported, he's now serving 35 years. A very long time.
Okay, so back to Pegg's trial. The jury hears all this. The flip-flops, the car, the finances, the EncroChat stuff.
And they reach a verdict. All the sources agree. Guilty.
Guilty on 2 counts of misconduct in public office and 1 of possessing criminal property.
Right, and the deliberation time was short. The Mirror said less than 3 hours. Manchester Evening News timed it at 2 hours, 43 minutes.
Either way, that's fast. Suggests the jury wasn't too conflicted.
It implies the evidence was pretty overwhelming in their eyes.
And the judge. What was the immediate consequence for Pegg?
Judge Graham Knowles made it very clear. All the articles quote him warning her that prison time, a custodial sentence, is inevitable.
Inevitable, because the offenses were just too serious.
Exactly. The gravity of misconduct in public office, especially for a prison governor. Sentencing was either set for that Monday or a later date, depending on the report.
And finally, the official reactions. The Crown Prosecution Service.
Taryn McCaffrey from the CPS, quoted by the BBC and Manchester Evening News, really emphasized the breach of trust.
Yeah, talking about the damage to public confidence when someone in her position behaves like this.
It's a crucial point. These roles rely so heavily on integrity. When that's compromised,
it undermines the whole system, a really stark reminder of those responsibilities.
Absolutely. It's a powerful illustration of how power can be abused and the huge fallout when trust is broken like that.
So, summing it all up, We have Kerri Pegg's meteoric rise in the prison service.
Followed by this just unbelievably inappropriate relationship with Anthony Saunderson, a very dangerous inmate.
And it seems like tiny details, almost mundane things like those Hugo Boss flip-flops.
Became absolutely pivotal in bringing the whole thing crashing down, unraveling the truth.
And now Pegg faces prison. A complete and, well, tragic fall from grace.
It really is. And it leaves you wondering, doesn't it? What does this case say about maybe the weak spots in systems like prisons? How easy is manipulation?
Or how can you even prevent these kinds of, I guess, betrayals of trust? It seems so difficult.
And what was really driving it, was Peg truly just naive, like her defense claimed?
Or was it something deeper? Power dynamics, maybe? Manipulation cutting both ways? Or just a combination of vulnerability and something else?
It's complex. Definitely food for thought about human behavior, the pull of power, maybe forbidden connections.
And just the absolute necessity of integrity in public life. It's certainly a case that sticks with you. Lots to think about there.